The art of bushcraft is about living outdoors, relying upon our understanding and our knowledge of the natural world which surrounds us. In this programme, I've come to the jungle, which isn't always an easy place to travel in, but one where good bushcraft really makes the difference. No matter how many times I return to the jungle, I always forget just how awe-inspiring it is. I love forests of all kinds, and the scale of the jungle is second to none. Of all the jungles, this is the one to visit. The Amazon. This is Venezuela. There are places down there no one has ever set foot. Once you take off, you start to think about all of your equipment you've got with you, and you start to think about things you've forgotten. But now it doesn't matter. What you haven't got, you'll have to improvise. And that's one of the great things about bushcraft, the ability to do without all the clutter of everyday life. One of the frustrating things about this forest is that even in an aircraft, you only get a small view of it. So huge. The only way to really understand how big it is to have a look at a map. The Amazon covers almost 3 million square miles. That's bigger than Australia. I'm flying to an airstrip at a remote village called Canaracuni near the Brazilian border. It's 200 miles from the nearest town, but my final destination is even further, deep in the forest, the best way to experience the jungle. It's the knowledge of bushcraft that invites us to step out into this huge canvas and leave our world behind. The people of Canaracuni are called the Yekuana, one of the oldest and proudest tribes of the area. Even with an airstrip, they don't get many visitors out here, so our cameras were a great source of interest. My plan is to camp near the village so I can enjoy being in the jungle but still learn from the living bushcraft of the Yekuana. If there's one thing I've learned from embarking on a trip like this, it's that whatever your plans and wherever you are, stay flexible, because this far from home, nothing ever goes quite according to plan. Well, the plans, as they often do when you travel in these sorts of areas, have gone a little bit awry. Got here a bit later than expected. Had hoped to get into the rainforest today, but that'll have to wait till tomorrow. So tonight, myself and the crew, we're going to be in this house that's set aside here for visitors and make ourselves pretty comfortable. But it looks great. Amazing building. First job, get the hammock set up and settle in a little bit. After 2 days travelling, it was lovely to receive such a warm welcome.
Buenos días.
Early next day, we set off downriver.
Yeah.
3 men from the village came with us, Luis, Saul and Benito. For them, bushcraft is a way of life.
This is brilliant. This is where my journey really begins. As we leave the village and come down this river, we're entering one of the most pristine environments on the planet. When you travel in an environment like this with these sorts of people, you're really stepping back in time. But the technology is no less sophisticated than our own. It's just different. A little further downriver was a sobering reminder of what can happen when things go wrong out here. Brace yourselves. You all right? I can't believe it. Right in the middle of the river, there's a crashed aircraft. Can you imagine what a bad day this pilot had? Not only did he crashed in the middle of some rapids. And it's a very long walk back to civilization from here. I learnt later that they'd crashed because they overshot the runway at Kanerakuni after drinking too much. Lucky for them, they all survived. What we're looking for is a place to set up camp. Ideally, I want a shelving shoreline with a place we can bring the canoe in, perhaps a little beach where we can wash. As we rounded a bend, we came across the perfect spot, home for the next week or so. This is the flood area. When the river floods, this bit of ground gets washed. And because of that, there's less vegetation here. There are less nooks and crannies for creepy crawlies, things that might bite us, to hide. The other advantage of being on ground that gets flooded is anything that we do here, any cutting we do, any fires we light, will get cleaned up by nature herself, which pleases me. Even though this is a massive forest, I still like to minimise the impact that I have on it while I'm here. So the first thing to do is get my hammock up, my tarp up, and really start to make this home. My equipment is man-made, but one of the principles of bushcraft is to know where and how to find the natural equivalents. Luis, one of the village elders, and Saul were happy to show how they sleep when they're away from the village. I'm setting up quite an elaborate lightweight camp because I'm going to be here a few days. If I was just here overnight, I wouldn't go to all these lengths. And the first job normally is that the roof goes up, because if it's pouring with rain, we can then work completely freely in the dry beneath it. And that's very important because when it's raining very hard, it's very difficult to think straight. The rain pounding on your head makes you make poor decisions, and accidents are frequent in those circumstances. One little tip, never put your hands into an area that you can't see into with your eyes. You just never know. That way you don't get embarrassed and neither does a snake. Always gingerly test the knots. Well, that's great. I'm happy now because I've got my roof up, I've got my bed for the night. Feels really good. Now, everything I do now just basically improves my condition here. The fundamental things I've put up. Sometimes you can be lulled into a false sense of security